So, normally I don't usually get an emotional reaction and jump on YouTube, but this has really disgusted me on many levels, right on the surface is a personal level, right? Since I heard the news late last year about George Perez's fate as it stands, I've really had to prepare myself. George Perez is going to be one of those guys that when he passes, it's really going to it's going to take a toll on me. And it's amazing to me, thanks to social media, seeing how he's prepared for it. It's just so ironic that he's handling it better than I would. George Perez is one of those guys that's given the comics for, gosh, man, closer to 50 years than it is to 40. Um, and I can go through my collection, and I doubt there's one comic book box that he does not have a book in, a cover in, or anything, piece of his work. And of course, like thousands of other fans, I got to meet him at a comic book convention, get a picture with him, and get a hug so hard that he gave me beard burn on the side of my face, and I treasure that moment. So one of the things that was going to be put out for Hero Initiative, which is a charity that George Perez is behind, of course, I'm actually going to try to stumble through this and share a few things that have been happening over the past few days that I really hope becomes gets fixed on a moral high ground. And considering that there seems to be possibly a foothold and a turn in culture today, in this culture, if we want to call it today, where people have really rejected the Amazon Lord of the Rings trash garbage show that's coming out, and a few things that Showtime's put out and things like that. I'm really hoping that rolls forward to where we get this fixed, because it really bothers me. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys I look like crap. I probably sound like crap, and I'm probably going to be pretty blunt and not myself in this, because I'm in the middle of recovering from bronchitis. But I had to get this out. This has just really bothered me. You sit around the house feeling sick and you kind of follow this stuff. So, and I actually want to tell you how I think we got to this point, right? So one of the first things you see here, this is on the George Perez website on Facebook, is where I heard the announcement. But what they did is for Heroes Initiative, for $29.99, you can get a reprint edition of the Justice League Avengers trade paperback from back in the day. And this was going to have tons of extra stuff in it, and all proceeds were going to go to the Hero Initiative charity. Well, it's limited to 7,000, a print run of 7,000. And right there, I knew what was going to happen. I was like, this is going to be a fiasco, right? So I jumped on board and I got into my online comic book store. I asked them, is it going to show? I sent them an email asking them, am I going to be able to get this? And this was their reply to me. Let me make sure this is sharing, guys. I'm going to stumble through this. How do I get that to share? Anyway, I'm going to read you the email. I'm just trying to get it to share here. I'm going to switch over here. Hold on. We're having technical difficulty, of course. All right, that should be sharing now. Okay, guys, thanks for hanging in there with me. So anyway, I sent them the article, and I waited for a reply. I think it took them about 2 days. This is from February 17th. It goes, hey, Tim, unfortunately, someone decided to limit the print run on this, and thus it looks like stores will receive 2 copies at most. What they did is they usually you have you can usually have up to 2 months of having the ability to order a book. They decided to do this week of February 2022, and the book is going to come out in March, in a month. So it's like they just announced it and they put it out there, right? So they said that at this point, every retailer, including the one I use, is getting dozens of requests for it, which is frustrating for us as it is for you. So we don't have any concrete answers on this since retailers were given no advance notice before yesterday's announcement. That would be the 16th. But one thing that's certain is that as a very limited run item whose demand vastly outstrips the supply, there's no way we can fairly offer pre-orders on this. So here's a book that George Perez is behind, and it's going to be for charity, and they decide to do this. This is just ridiculous, right? The stores are helpless. We're still discussing internally what to do. But to be honest, we really like the idea that Hibbs and a couple of other retailers proposed, selling these couple of copies at a premium price and then donating the proceeds to the Hero Initiative and George Perez directly. Undeniably, that still sucks, in parentheses, for everybody who wants a copy. But it sounds like that could at least take an idea with good intentions and awful, in full capital letters, awful execution, and yet wind up doing something good with it. Anyway, I'm sorry, that's not what you were hoping to hear. If the publishers have any sense at all, they'll see the massive, in all caps, demand for this book and put on a non-limited edition in the near future. Let me know if you need anything else. That's my guy. So, yeah, that's bad enough. So I wasn't really surprised by that response. I was surprised by the response that they're thinking about going for a premium price. And this is exactly what I was afraid was going to happen. Thanks to the speculating has always been a part of comics, right? But now we have this overhyped, manufactured hype things where now that before books even come out, you know what's going to happen. People are going to be grabbing these, and of course, we're going to be putting them on eBay and things like that, right? I remember when the new Red Goblin came out a couple years ago, I went to the store, not even 2 hours after they put it on the rack, and they were trying to charge me $30 for a $3 book. And now, thanks to the manufactured hype of these speculators, are selling apps and all, and making it out like every book could make you a fortune and stuff. Now we're having a situation like this. So yeah, this really bothers me, and it's bullshit. And I know exactly how we got here, and I'll talk about that here in a minute here, right? So I'll go back to the website here, okay? And I want to show you exactly what has happened, what I predicted. Ridiculous. Okay, so we go back up here, and I think this came out this morning, and it's exactly what I thought, but what I was surprised about is how bad it is. A lot of activity right here. I hope you can see this. Fans and comic book retailers are complaining about the low 7,000 print run on the upcoming JLA Avengers from Hero Initiative. Scalpers will likely sell this book at double or triple the price based on some listings. So good luck if you're looking to get a copy at retail price. It's not going to happen. And what we have here is the JLA Collector's Slipcase 2-book edition is already going for $889.99, right? So it's one left in stock. Order soon. That's the last one on stock for that company or wherever they got this from. That tells you that people are paying ridiculous prices for this, and this book hasn't even come out. This is a collection from years ago that came out probably 20 years ago. If not, well, probably a little bit less than 20. So now here we are in a market that goes way back. Get rid of some of this stuff. And I think you get the point. Ridiculous. So now we're in a market where a new book comes out. It's for a good cause, and we're not going to be able to get it. And it's ridiculous. Okay. There's a lot of people at fault. The people who published the book, maybe this is manufactured hype. Maybe they wanted headlines. I think that's giving them too much credit, but this was ridiculously handled to begin with. Now it seems like it's just a book. I've got my JLA Avengers crossover from back in the day, but this is going to have extras. I think it's going to have pages from that 80s crossover finally going to be published. That was dropped back when I think Roy Thomas and George Perez was doing it the first time around. And it's going to have some comments by Kurt Busiek. I mean, it was going to be a thick book, and for $30, it was going to be a great price. Palo's right here on it. Malcs is one of regular customers that even if they pre-order, they are not guaranteed to get a copy, right? Now, it's one thing to have a book like this come out and have it be mishandled, and we know that it's going to go up and it's going to be for scalpers and things like that. But this just shows you what's happened to comics probably really since like the 2010 and really taking effect back in like 2016. Um, Basically, there are people who still want their comics. There's people who are still there for comics. And like I said, over the years on this channel, it's documented in other YouTube videos. I always said the back issue market is going to keep this hobby going. And back issue market is on fire now. And that's good. I guess it's healthy. It keeps interest going. People are going completely nuts and crazy and not using common sense, or maybe they're just young and they're not, don't know what they're doing, and things are ridiculously expensive if you really do hang out online playing around with this hobby and stuff, right? So basically, the quality of modern comics have gone down in general, not all of them. And then all of a sudden, the speculating market came up because people are getting YouTube views and they're selling apps and they're doing all this ridiculous stuff. That's caused a lot of back issues to go nuts. It's all fed on each other, right? But I'm telling you, I want to show you exactly where it all started, how we got here, and it's one of those things where me, Captain Strangelove, a bunch of people back in 2015 or 16, we're going to have an "I told you so" moment. It is all connected. If you have followed comic book history over the last couple years, it all started with a foothold with this book. What's the term? Bending the knee. The downhill slide all started when they pulled this cover for a Batgirl variant that called back to, it's in 2016, that called back to the Killing Joke. The freaking weirdos and stuff, and I hate using that term, but that seems to be the popular vernacular. It all goes back to that, getting this book to make headlines, the artist giving in, DC giving in, and censoring, and that's what it was, censoring this book. And that's the real slide of comic books really going downhill and becoming ridiculous. That's the start. That's their foothold. That is their foothold they gave. You give one, you back down on one little thing. They start small and then they get a step, then another step and another step. And now we're in this market where prices are ridiculous, and this is going to be the future of comics, in my opinion, of when great things come out, or great really great events come out, and there actually is a demand for a book. And ironically, this is for an old story. This isn't a new story. This is not a current comic. This came out like in 2002, 2003 originally. And now people are smelling the FOMO. They're smelling a low print run. And this has always been a part of comics. You want to get a comic, and it's great when it turns into a key, or you go after that key, but it was part of it. And now we're stuck in a part of comics that if you really want to keep participating in online and have people like me seeing it and harking on it and going on and on about it, you become real aware of it and stuff. But I mean, now it's not about the comics. It's about, I've got my number, I got my 9.8, and this book is worth this much money, and people are backing up and making videos of cold keys and things that didn't keep their value and where we had a year before, and it's all right there before you. And I hope this is just an era of it, but with the decline of comics coming out now not being, to me, as in big demand as older comics and low print runs and things like that, this is what it's going to be like when new products do come out. You can't move forward when you have a low print run like that. And the irony of this, and then the new book is going to come out and people are already going to have it, and your regular reader, your regular collector, or your regular fan is going to have to jump on eBay to try to get it for outrageous prices. We're all going to be feeding on each other, and they're going to go up and up and up. The sad thing about this is that 7,000 copies of that book was going to come out, $30 a piece. Okay. all of that money was going to go straight to a charity, no profit. Somebody's going to put this book on eBay, and let's say one goes for $500. That $500 is not going to go to the charity. Now, this would not be a big deal if it was a week after this book came out, a month after the book came out, a year after the book came out. The book came out, it was bought by people, the money went to charity, and they had their time to sell the book for the cover price. But this is the day of the book coming out. This is regular customers not having access to the book to give to that charity for Hero Initiative. Now, I've given to Hero Initiative at comic book conventions. I would get signatures where they just wanted a donation. Probably about 10 years ago. I haven't seen it in a while, but they would do like a small sketch for you if you gave to their little tip jar for the Hero Initiative and things like that. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But something needs to be done about this, because this is the new foothold. Just like that Batman variant, that Batgirl variant cover was the foothold for the decline of comics and the weirdos taking over and calling the shots and stuff. It gave them empowering. And these things start as a small snowball, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger with each tiny little victory, if you will, right? And this is going to be the new victory. This is a new foothold for what do you want to pay in the future for projects like this. There's no crystal ball, but here we are. You know what I mean? Like, I saw this coming with questions like, who are these people buying up these comic book keys and having the money to slab them? Who are these people who have the money to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on slabbed books? It's kind of like lobsters. People don't understand that lobster used to be a peasant food. Not 100 years ago, it was a peasant food. It was poor people food, and now it's the most expensive meal that you can get at a restaurant. A lot of restaurants, and it's even jokingly be said that if the girl you're taking out on a date orders a lobster, you're getting lucky. You know, it's been a joke. It's part of culture and stuff, right? Well, that's how comic books started out. Comic books started out as a freaking nickel, man, dime. It was, you know, kids were reading them and adults were reading them. And it was made by poor kids coming out of ghettos and stuff like that and making their way about it. And now we're coming into this bourgeoisie factor of paying a lot of bucks for a lot of good books and a lot of mediocre books. Yeah. This is another thing here, right? The speculators, I know, won't open the slipcase to read the book. They buy them to sell. This is where I try to be objective, but I do have an opinion, and I'm on the side of this, right? Books should be opened and read, but I am guilty of having a reader copy and a collector copy. I've read Watchmen literally hundreds of times. I've read certain issues of Watchmen more than that, but I've got 6 Watchmen comic books that have never been opened. Okay, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. It's moderation. It's part of what's going on. But that's another thing that Gore is pointed out, that speculators who get this hype and the greed and things that they have really emphasized with this hobby aren't even going to enjoy the books. That's where we get into sort of a little bit of a morality thing, the right and wrong. They bought the book, they own the book, they can do with what they want with it. But who are we getting into? Who's more deserving? The person who's actually going to get in the book, read the book, flip through it, enjoy it. And in a perfect world, that's the people who would get the book. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So yeah, we've really got the money grabbers in here and stuff, right? And I really, now that I'm getting into this, I really wished I pulled up the Frank Miller speech from the early 2000s where he was at a Wizard World. And he held up a copy of Wizard magazine and said that we need to get the barnacles and we need to get the parasites out of the hobby. And he started ripping a copy of Wizard magazine symbolically and stuff. Ironically, 2-3 years later, he was at another Wizard World and he was Man of the Year. So go figure. Yeah, here we go. At my shop, there's a collector who has almost 20 Omnis and is proud he hasn't torn off the plastic wrapping. I asked him why he bought them. He says for future investment. We've lost the moderation in comics. There's people out here who still do it. The people who are on YouTube and watch YouTube are not the end all and be all of the hobbyists who are into comics and what other pop culture items they're into and stuff, right? But we've lost the sight of the joy of the comics, the joy of experience of the comics, the joy of the community of comics, and it's turned into a dick measuring show. Um, Big factor, and that's a big minus, man. You got your comic books all sealed up and you want to show off, the number that you got on them, you're proud of them. And some people, that's fine. They don't go any further than that. Then I've run across people in real life and online where I feel like I'll just need to get this table and tell them, if you want a dick measuring show, table's cleaned off, get your buddies in a circle, jerk around there and just lay them all out. I'll supply the ruler. This bragging rights. It's like antiquing. I've seen people beat up tables with chains to antique it, and they will refuse to buy the exact same table unbeaten by a chain for $50 when they want to pay $500. They like the bragging rights. For some reason, if something is a reasonable price, they're suspicious of it. They want to buy something expensive, and that's where we're at. So I think this is really a bad turn for the hobby that I don't think is really going to go away. It's got too much momentum. What's going to happen is a lot of people are going to drop out because they're spending money to show off and get validation for their buddies, but you got people who are going to keep it going. There's a place around here that, and I think it's slowed down finally, that is a bane in my existence. It is a thorn in the side, my side, and it's local. But he's gone around and he's bought up all these collections, and he knows of comic book, put them in his store, and he knows nothing about comics. But he lets people go through his boxes, pick out their books, and he's done it to me twice, which is why I never went back, and I started paying attention to what he was doing. And he keeps the books because when he finds out they're a key, he won't sell them to you. He wants to see what the eBay price is, and then he gets them slabbed and puts them on eBay. I've also seen the same guy at a flea market while I'm sitting there picking out gems out of a comic book box. He won't even dig through the book. He actually acts like he's too good for the comics. So he just asked the guy selling it, do you have any high-end stuff? And he won't even do the digging. Meanwhile, I'm pulling out Alan Moore's Swamp Thing while he's doing this and stuff. It's all, So the rationality of it is that I saw this George Perez stuff going on, which is emotional enough. I saw this great event that George Perez, it's like one last great thing that he was participating in before he passes on. And we can't get back to him the right way. We can't get back to him the right way because we've got these parasites that are in the hobby that are full of greed and have been watching the pure speculation of comics and the financial greed of it. And the true fans of George Perez and the people who want to participate in a last act of kindness by him can't do it. That's why it burns me up. We're not going to be able to do it. Even if we bought the book in support of them, if we gave in and went to eBay or wherever they're selling this stuff and we gave in and we paid the inflated price, all that money is still not going to go to the charity. And that's what burns me up. That's the bottom line. And I can just rage and keep going. And I'm just going to kind of keep it there. I think there's no better way to put this, but comics have been going this way for a long time, all because of giving in to a bunch of weirdos over a piece of art. And here's what's amazing about art. When you look at art, the art is looking at you. You're looking at a reflection. And your reaction to what you're seeing tells more about you than that piece of art. So anybody that is into censorship, going all the way back to that Batgirl cover, that said more about you than that cover. And how you handle this stuff over a charitable book for a dying man says more about you than anything else that can be said in a video. All right. So, yeah, that's it. I'm going to go through some comments and we're signing out. All right. Investing in omnis is ridiculous. Anything that's been reprinted and has a demand is more likely to be reprinted again. I have a damaged omnibus, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you that an omnibus, I don't think it costs very much to print these. They've been damaged. Even the hardcover is nothing but folded up cardboard with a pretty piece of paper around it. Oh, Dr. Silver Age is there for the rant. What's up, brother? I'm coming from bronchitis. That's why I wasn't on Graphics Man's show the other night. I've still got it. I'm Gorvidal. I'm pretty rational, have good control of emotions, but if Love is Rockets is ever rumored to be a film or TV show, I will lose it with speculators and those who have ignored the series for decades. Exactly. So thanks for everybody that popped in there. Thanks for everybody that just want to listen to me. I really need to get this off my chest. And man, I really hope that Hero Initiative, somebody comes up with a win-win situation to this. I really do. All right. You guys be excellent to each other. Great talking to you. Later.